The leaders of the United Cartels are in full panic right now after the DEA crushed their multi-million-dollar meth shipment deep inside Tennessee. And the crazy thing is that this entire case was blown open because of a car crash that happened a few years back. But once investigators started digging in, they discovered that they were not dealing with low-level traffickers. These guys were heavily armed, and at one point they even opened fire on patrol officers in broad daylight. Now, President Trump has had enough, and the administration has just put a heavy target on the backs of the cartel leaders, but what they uncovered will go down as one of the most sophisticated cartel operations ever found inside the United States. Officials say they confiscated 61,000 lbs of cocaine and 14,000 pounds of marijuana yesterday, and that's $473 million worth of drugs. All from that. That seems like a small vote for all that. Wow. We have drug cartels from Mexico active in 37 counties in Tennessee. 6 years ago, a car crash on the stretch of road here in Rockwood sparked the beginning of an investigation that led federal investigators to cartel leaders. And it'll happen again. Maybe it's happening right now. I don't know. But the point is the President of the United States is going to wage war on narcotist organizations. So, back in 2019, two guys were driving through Rockwood, Tennessee, when suddenly they slammed head-on into another car right in the center lane. Now, most people would have gotten out of the car to assess the situation. Checking if everyone's okay, calling insurance, maybe arguing about who's at fault, but guess what these guys did? They panicked and ran. But that's not even the most shocking part. As they fled the scene, one of them threw a hardened protective case behind a small metal building near a Hardee's restaurant. Turning now to breaking news. One person is dead after a multi-vehicle crash on I-640 West near Buffett Road. We first told you about this at 6, an update earlier in our show. Tonight at 11 o'clock, Knoxville police now say that it appears a vehicle entered the interstate against traffic traveling the wrong way in the westbound lanes. That vehicle's driver hit another vehicle. That vehicle hitting a third vehicle. The driver of the first vehicle was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead. The investigation is still ongoing. All of this information just coming into our newsroom from Knoxville Police. Police Chief Kelly Pittman later walked reporters through exactly what happened, pointing to the spot where it all went down. Guys from Georgia that we arrested was coming from that direction headed north. They got into the center lane here and struck the southbound vehicle head-on. I think there was another vehicle is involved in as well. There's a little metal building right here, and that's where I'm assuming he came by here, stashed it in there, and he ran it on. He ran on around, and as you can see, Hardy is just right here. That metal building right there. Now, when the police finally caught up with these guys and went back to see what they'd thrown away, they found something that made this whole situation a lot more serious than just a hidden run. It turned out the hardened protective case was filled with meth and coke, and when they searched the car, they found more guns. Police later found one of the men at the Hardee's while other officers searched the car they were traveling in. Now, this is where most drug busts would have ended. Arrest the dealers, seize the drugs. Case closed. But in this case, investigators decided to dig deeper. 5 top leaders of drug cartels face charges after a federal investigation, stretching years that started in Knoxville. The case dates back to a car wreck in the city in 2019. Investigators say 2 drug suspects tossed a hard case full of meth on the run from police. The evidence led to drug traffickers in Atlanta and then to cartel leaders in Mexico. In this case, federal investigators named 5 leaders, offering up to $26 million in reward money, leading to the arrest of those men they suspect are all in the country of Mexico. So they started using wiretaps and surveillance to trace where this meth actually came from, and that trail led them straight to Atlanta, where they discovered a man named Eladio Mendoza running a massive drug operation. Through months of investigation, phone records revealed something even more shocking. It turned out that Mendoza was actually communicating directly with associates of LUO. This guy is the leader of the United Cartel, and as of right now, he's one of Mexico's most wanted cartel leaders with a whopping $10 million bounty on his head. So that case in Rockwood, where the smugglers threw their shipment behind Hardee's, it was also connected to this same United Cartel, which is now a terrorist designated organization that controls huge meth labs in Mexico and runs distribution networks from Dallas to Chicago. The United States has launched a new advance against two Mexican criminal organizations and has confirmed that the Mitoacan self-defense groups are not defenders of the people, but criminal networks, specifically cartel. Zunidos and Los Viagu, the Treasury Department, imposed financial sanctions on 7 members of both cartels for their involvement in drug trafficking and extortion of Michoacan producers and farmers. Indictments were also announced against 4 leaders of cartel Zunidos and one of Los Viagra, for which the State Department is offering rewards of between $3 million and $10 million. The accusation is led by Juan Jose Farias Alvarez, a self-proclaimed self-defense leader in Talcadec, but when federal agents moved in to take down their Atlanta network run by Mendoz's, they had no idea they were about to walk into a bloody ambush that would put their lives on the line. So by early 2020, investigators already had Eladio Mendoza and his entire crew under tight surveillance. One afternoon, agents were sitting outside a hotel near Atlanta when they spotted one of Mendoza's guys stepping out with what looked like a comically oversized Doritos bag. Right away, they knew something was up, but before they could make a move, the guy jumped in his car and started heading toward Tennessee. That's when state troopers moved in and tried to pull him over, but instead of stopping, he hit the gas and took them on a full-blown high-speed chase. And then things got completely insane as he started firing an AK-style rifle at the officers chasing him, all while still driving. One of the bullets struck a Tennessee trooper in the leg, turning what started as a traffic stop into a running gunfight on the highway. So the other troopers had no choice but to return fire, and eventually they managed to neutralize the suspect. Now when they finally searched that oversized Doritos bag, they found exactly what they had suspected. The entire bag was packed with coke and meth. That was the confirmation investigators needed to know that taking down this criminal network was not going to be a walk-in the park. The crew of Hamilton, who have lived in this ship for over the last 2 months, they personally interdicted over 47,000 lbs of cocaine. These men and women put themselves in harm's way time and again to stop the bad guys, apprehend the smugglers, and seize the drugs. Mendoza was running a military-style operation where even low-level dealers were armed with assault rifles and had matching orders to engage cops and firefights rather than surrender. But as insane as it sounds, that was just the tip of the iceberg, because only a few weeks later, federal agents executed search warrants on Mendoza's properties, and what they uncovered blew the case wide open. Hidden inside a tractor trailer that had just crossed the border from Mexico was over 850 kilograms of meth, linking Mendoza's crew directly to the highest levels of Mexican cartel leadership. Then in 2020, that same man fled a traffic stop here in Tennessee, leading to a shootout with officers and the discovery of drugs hidden in a tractor trailer. Now, to put that in perspective, we're talking about nearly 1,900 pounds of meth with a street value in the tens of millions of dollars. And that was not even all. Agents also found more drugs stashed inside a bus and scattered throughout homes on the property. The sheer volume of narcotics showed investigators they just stumbled onto a major distribution hub for Mexican cartels right in the United States. These are foreign terrorist organizations responsible for bringing drugs and violence to the United States, and they are a threat to our national security on a daily basis. There's no place that drug traffickers can hide from the United States Coast Guard and its partners, and we are all partners in this. If you're on the high seas and water smuggling drugs, we the Coast Guard and our partners will find you and stop the federal agents and prosecutors doing what you're doing. You will then be sent to the Middle District of Florida and elsewhere for prosecution, and the evidence that they seize will be used in those cases. You'll be brought to justice by the United States as appropriate. But keep in mind that this investigation, these matters will continue. These interdictions would continue, and the frontline operations on the high seas will continue such that nobody is going to be able to hide. When investigators searched Mendoza's phones, they discovered text messages between him and Luo, the same feared boss of the United Cartel we mentioned earlier. Now here's where this story took a dark turn. When Mendoza realized his operation had been exposed and millions of dollars worth of had been seized, he panicked and fled back to Mexico. Now if you think he'd be safe and protected by his cartel connections there, you'd be dead wrong. because the cartel leaders were furious. That Mendoza had cost them millions of dollars and blown their Tennessee to Atlanta pipeline. So they did what cartels do when someone becomes a liability. They killed him, with Mendoza dead and their entire Tennessee to Atlanta pipeline exposed. The Justice Department decided it was time to go nuclear on the United Cartels. Today, the DOJ indicted 3 leaders and 2 high-ranking enforcers of the United Cartels. The U.S. government is offering a reward of up to $10 million for information leading to the arrest of United Cartel's top leader LUO, or the grandfather, along with multi-million dollar rewards for the 4 others. Together, we're talking about a total of $26 million in reward money, making this one of the largest cartel manhunts in recent history. But the bounties were just the beginning. The Treasury Department also hit them with economic sanctions, freezing bank accounts and cutting off their financial networks. And all of this came on top of the president already designating the cartel as a foreign terrorist organization earlier this year. So now everyone is asking, how did this criminal organization find its way into the United States? And how many more of the cartel cells are still operational in this country? So, the United Cartels didn't suddenly pop up in Tennessee. Their story started more than a decade ago in Mexico. You see, back in 2010, several smaller cartels formed an alliance called La Resistencia to fight off Los Zetas, one of the most feared and violent groups in the country. But after the Zetas were finally pushed back, the alliance didn't go away. Instead, it evolved and eventually rebranded as the United Cartels to take on a new enemy, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG. And as they gained power, their operations changed too. Soon, what started as a loose alliance of local groups turned into something much more organized and ruthless. In their home state of Michoacán, they control almost every part of daily life. They tax avocado farmers and lime producers, run extortion rackets on local businesses, and turn entire towns into fortified strongholds. They've shut down highways with burning trucks, planted landmines on rural roads, and even used drones carrying homemade bombs to keep rivals out. As their grip on Michoacán grew, the United Cartels started pushing their influence across the border. According to Senator Bill Hagerty, they took full advantage of the border crisis under the Biden administration to enter the United States and push even deeper into Tennessee. Here is a report from his recent visit to the border. In a recent visit to the southern border, Senator Bill Hagerty called it a crisis beyond measure. Now, he says he's determined to protect Tennesseans from issues surrounding the border. It's not just the passage of humans that's coming across the border. It's the passage of drugs. And the passage of drugs again has precipitated this epidemic here in America that's being felt in every town and every city and every county right here in Tennessee. Today, Tennessee authorities say Mexican drug cartels are active in 37 counties across the state, and more than half of Tennessee is now dealing with cartel-linked operations. At this point, you have people on Capitol Hill saying we need to do something about the drug cartels. There was this graphic that we did on America's Newsroom at Bill's, billboard, and it showed on a graph how many cartels are in America. It has like the 5 different colors. It was shocking. All across the country, they have a presence here. And so this isn't something that we have sought out. Oh, we have a right. Look at that. Look at our producers putting it right up. That is shocking to me. That's how many cartels are right here in America. So it's one thing to say you should deal with the cartels over there. We also have to deal with them here. This is why this United Cartel takedown is such a big deal. This operation didn't just take down one dealer. It exposed how far these cartels have reached into the U.S., turning quiet Tennessee towns into key stops in a trafficking network that stretches from the mountains of Michoacán to major cities across America. So now the question is, how many more of these cartel cells are still operational inside Tennessee and other parts of the country? Jared, for the special agent in charge of DEA's New England Field Division, says, last week the DEA set out to arrest as many members of the Mexico-based Sinaloa cartel as possible. New England saw the highest number of regional arrests at 171, with 49 in Massachusetts, 33 in New Hampshire. Connecticut saw the most at 64. Do you think people would be surprised to learn how many members of that cartel are operating probably in plain sight in their communities? Sure. So, Sinaloa cartel in every single state across America, more than 40 countries around the world, and obviously they're in every state. Throughout New England, what's the number one product they push? Is it the pills? So we see fentanyl powder and we see counterfeit pills. Pills are made to look like legitimate pills, notably a M30s. M30 pills are counterfeit oxycodone, but says they're also increasingly seeing counterfeit stimulant pills made to look like Adderall. Please feel free to share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth videos like this. Our videos